The manifestor is today's topic of discussion. You are here to initiate, therefore get the ball rolling, impacting, informing before taking action those of whom will be impacted by you, your action taking. That's true. In Ra's words, he said that you are the only type designed to operate independently of response. Now, historically, manifestors have held a dominant role in leadership and being in charge of their domain or being in control. When the shift happened in 1781, and we had a new kid on the block, the projector, there has been a dynamic of this handover, not of power, because the projector does not have the power to generate nor manifest, not like the manifestor and generator do. But the power in the projector is to guide or advise. So if you're a manifestor, hi, I'm a projector. Nice to meet you. Is this right for you? If you're brand new to human design, you may not yet have had the time to align with your decision-making process. So if that's true, my recommendation is to begin at the beginning, get an analysis. If you're just testing the waters, go to mybodygraph.com so that you know how to make decisions, because this next, hour, maybe not quite, maybe, we'll see, will be a training that is for beings who know how to make decisions by being in integrity, in alignment with their sovereignty, your ability to have impact through the power vested in thee as a manifestor. You are here to inform by having freedom of action to initiate, to create, to move truly those around you. When you want to make business decisions that are really right for you, hi, this is one of the things that I'm guiding you through. So mybodygraph.com so that you can know your design. That's the first step, to align. And then if you need someone like me or any of the beings that do the same work, this work that I do works on you. So what's your leadership pattern? For you as a manifestor, this energy to initiate must now be guided by awareness and correctness, not by force or conditioning. So the key to understanding how you as a manifestor lead, or why your leadership may become distorted, lies in your alignment to truth, the authority inside of you, so that you know what to do, truly. This is not about someone else telling you what to do, never. This is about you intrinsically aligning to the sovereign place, path, and purpose of what you came here to be. Now, you as a manifestor, approximately 10% or so, and growing. The generator is about 70%, 67-ish. The projector, 22%. And the reflector, 1.5%. So when it comes to being a part of the world, the generative creatures, they are the vast majority. This includes pure generators, manifesting generators, generators with manifesting potential, and all three of those can be either sacral or emotional. Now that's not you, manifestor. Manifestor is very, very different. Your manifestor capability has to do with, again, your sovereignty, the ability to take action without waiting for a response. So when you were a child, potentially you were very conditioned. Other people telling you what to do, trying to control you, trying to make you fit in. But you were born to stand out. You as a manifestor can initiate and to understand how you lead, or why and how your leadership becomes distorted. This lies in your motivational color. So for those of you who have been experimenting and you're having difficulty making decisions as yourself, this may be one of the next steps for you to go through. I'm going to shift gears into a presentation that has to do with color motivation. We are going to be talking about motivational color for manifestors. Your personality, sun and earth, has a frequency that governs your awareness. Underneath this color is something called cognition. We're not going there today. We're just introducing the frequency of your motivational capability. So you acting from true awareness has to do with operating intrinsically according to your innate value, your sovereignty, what you came here to be. So I'm speaking to the 70% of your mental awareness through the solar imprint at the moment of your birth, and the earth, how you are balanced or grounded mentally. Underneath that line quality, the gate and line, we have something we call color. Now, color is critical when this frequency is in resonance and you act from true awareness. Peace of impacting. Now, when you are not in alignment, when you're coming from conditioning, your mind leading the way helps you go astray. Because what happens is your leadership becomes distorted. And this next key is going to explore how each of the motivational frequencies, 6 different colors, plays out in the manifestor leadership. What drives your initiation? As far as the authoritative process in you, colored by your awareness. Now, what enhances or corrupts your impact? When we talk about you coming from a shadow place, it's always going to be linked to what we call transference, and any place that's open in you, the mind's conditioned adaptive strategies that are not in integrity with what you came here to do. We're going to dive into the core of manifestor motivation and being distorted, because this is one of the keys to your leadership. Ross said the manifestor and motivation to lead can become one, and we'll begin truly at the foundational core. We begin with color 1. This is called fear. It's not that you're afraid. It's to be motivated by fear, meaning the motivation to know the unknown. This is the foundation of our conceptual intelligence. You are the most intelligent of all manifestor creatures. Intelligence is, I don't want to be afraid, so let me understand. Let me dig down deep. This is what fear means. So don't get stuck in the sense that you're being motivated because you're afraid of something. That is not what this is about. Remember, this is the foundation of your mind. So you might find, depending on your type, processing, because you have definition, you have authority, you have all kinds of uniqueness. But what you're going to find is that you may be driven to lift up every rock, look and see what's underneath. Keep on digging down deep until you have all the information. This is the foundation of conceptualizing. Underneath your line quality, you are a kind of investigator. You're going to have to do your research, dig in, and find all those various things that you're motivated to understand, make sense of, and know in the language of what is so, intrinsically, your definition of what it is to be. Now, what happens when you're not in integrity? You get what we call transferred. Transference is an awareness of being off track, just like anger for you is a signpost of something not to do. The transferred or distorted motivational frequency is called need. So to get needy, becoming overly dependent on another physically. And if you initiate what is needed, you think is needed in order to be validated and makes you angry, signpost, stop. like a flashing red stop sign, stop light, saying to stop. Just like anger is a signpost of being off track, so too is being needy for you. So when you find that happening, stop. Be aware of how much beyond compare you are, because the source inside of you knows what to do. Go back to the investigation bit. If it is correct for you to source into what's true, go back to your authoritative process, whatever it happens to be. Go back to informing. Maybe you take a beat, take a step back, and wait for the core of you to be moved from within. No response necessary, no need. Now, as a manifestor, shifting, we are into the hope-motivated being. Hope is knowing when not to act, when not to take responsibility, when not to jump in, when not to push the river, when it is correct for you to wait by the river, in fact, for the bodies of thine enemies to float by. Hope brings a quiet, you could say, potentially, depending on your design, belief. There is a potential here. There is an initiation from your own inner awareness, accordingly with your authority, whatever it happens to be. Be you emotional, splenic, or spontaneous, or ego manifested as an authority principle. Now, hope in and of itself is passive. It's about waiting for the right moment. It's about holding you could say, a vision of what can be truly. Now, when you're not operating in integrity, you get shifted over to blind guilt or feeling guilty. And this is when you take responsibility for things that are truly not your problem, fault, area, and it will be linked to anger. So in awareness, again, because there is this flashing red stop sign, in awareness, we can take a deep breath, come back to what's true inside. If there's a flash of anger, wonderful, signpost. Just like that stop sign is saying, don't go down there. Come back to your intrinsic value so that you know what to do. Taking action from a place of anger and a place of feeling guilty. How's that working? Not really. So we go to next, as far as color, we're going to 3. And the 3, as far as motivationally speaking, is desire. Now, desire, this is the most classically associated color with manifestors, and that desire is a swell of energy. It's intentional for leadership. These are manifestors. You are a manifestor who can initiate to lead, direct, get things started, move energy forward. This was Ra's thing as far as leadership, his motivation and what that brought. You can see it was about organizing things, getting things organized, trying to get them to work, get it to work. Now, out of integrity, the transference to the 6, innocence, it's completely opposite. It appears passive, directionless, fails to inform or lead, even though it's correct for you to do. What happens is you just potentially may dig your head in the sand. Has nothing to do with me, remaining incorrectly aloof, as in not connected to the source inside of you. And it'll make you irritated and angry. Remember? And this is all out of integrity. It's linked to the openness in you, signposts of awareness. It's all this has to do with. So whereas interesting. See the variety where the color 2, hope motivation, is passive, and out of integrity, it becomes or attempts to be interactive when it's guilty. That energy takes on burdens that aren't there to solve, tries to fix what is broken without being equipped. So you can see that there is a very vast difference here. Desire is a swell of energy, a point of awareness of what is to be because of your very nature of frequency. Now, what happens when we have the color 4? When we move into the transpersonal, whereas 3, 2, and 1 are more a personal process, potentially. What happens when we move to the upper trigram, and not trigram, my apologies, the upper colors, it's like what happens with the upper trigram of line qualities if you have been studying, and that they are more transpersonal, really. So color 4, need, is here to be motivated by what's necessary to think about, to externalize. It's not about everything. Leave that to the first color people. It's their job to deal with the unknowns. It's their job to figure out all of the stuff that is unknown and resolve fear. But you as a 4th color person, you can think about what needs to be thought about and not all that extraneous stuff. Because a need-motivated manifestor is here to initiate something, because something has to be done. You can sense what's missing and act to fill in that gap, so to speak. Your leadership is often a process that is truly giving forth a frequency and nature of being. When you as a 4th color are correct, you move because you are needed. Now, what's interesting about the 4th color is it's always on the edge of distortion. It can transfer not just to the first blind fear, as in moving from anxiety or terror, maybe hesitant, or when you're angry, it's because you're attempting to control to get out of the fear. So just again, signpost to be aware, to come back to the nature of truth within thee, to embrace your sovereignty. Now, as we move into color 5, what we see is a being who is motivated to fix. You are a fixer. And this is what you think about. How can I fix it? What am I responsible for? As far as you as a guilt-motivated manifestor acting to correct, manage, or condition others. You may become a person driven by responsibility. And if you're a 5th color, this is what it's all about for you. Understanding that you're here to think about how things have to be fixed, whatever it happens to be that impacts you and the nature of the beings around you. This is always going to be related to whatever gates are involved. In truth, with all of this, it's always related to the line quality on top of this color motivational frequency. All these colors are sub-themes. But this is the larger framework to understand what your mind is good for. If you're a 5th color, your mind is good for thinking about fixing things. And this all has to do with what you've seen, because all colors are based on your perspective. Again, out of integrity, you're going to get transferred, distorted, and this becomes passive or withdraws from action, and that makes you irritated and angry. And when you wait for others to take initiative, even when it's correct for you to act, you're doing yourself a great disservice. Watch it. Be aware of it. No need to do anything but sink back into being your own authority, whatever that happens to be or bring for you, so that you know what is true. And the 6th color, innocence, is a motiveless motivation. There doesn't appear to be a specific agenda that's pushing you And that's innocence for you, without motivation, as in to be something that's trusted because there's no agenda, motivation behind it. Thinking is not a byproduct of a because here. It's just there. And there's no real reason for it to be there because there's no legitimate motivation. This is a frequency. You have a chemistry that draws others because of your very innocence, because of the uniqueness of your awareness, because the fact that you don't seem to be connected to the various power forces that want to move you in one way or another. So you may find that this rare manifestor leadership quality is non-attached. So through initiating without a personal agenda, you have an impact that arises from alignment, not necessarily strategy. So to be without motivation, this is a very difficult thing to grasp. Innocence has no goal. It moves because it is correct to do so. Now, what happens when you're out of integrity? Again, the irritation and the keynotes of the open places of vulnerability inside of thee. What happens is that you as a 6-color innocence are going to try to seek roles, status, recognition, desperate or desirous for initiating from a mental awareness rather than an inherent clarity, intuition, or ego place of power. Because there is power in thee, accordingly, with the nature of what you came here to be, the true fulfillment of your initiation capacity, however that power may be. When there is a question as far as what to do, source to the thing inside of you that's true, the thing that brings you peace. This is the awareness principle of you experimenting with being your own authority. Now, in the integration practicing, my recommendation is to use correct software, mayamechanics.com, mybodygraph.com. If you're new, mybodygraph.com is for you. And identify your color, using your chart to find the color of your personality, sun and earth. And when you come from this place of integrity, let's go look, shall we? Bring forth the software for you to see. Where color is inside of the software is inside of this tiny little place, this place filled with grace. When it comes to the color inside of you, it's underneath the sun and earth frequency. So you know how if you're watching a movie or going to a show, taking in some actor's rendition of their lines that they're reading, this is how color works inside of you. Color colors the line quality, the frequency. And what happens when you're out of integrity is you don't get your color truly again. You get something that is out of integrity, and you lose your cognitive potential, your difference. So then this transference is not the same thing as a regular color, in this case 3. What happens is it's dumbed down. And most people wandering around, operating on shallow ground, as in the openness that is an incredible variability, not the sovereignty of the uniqueness and the dominance of the correct frequency. When you're looking at a body graph, you're looking at something, and let's just go pick up an actual chart. Okay, just as an example, since he's a manifestor. What you're seeing is that there happens to be this color inside of thee, whatever you happen to be. This happened to be a manifestor through projected channels. Projected channels being a different kind of frequency than the main channels of direct manifestation. So what you'll find when you witness your mind, if you are out of integrity, in Ra's case, not my problem, no correctness of awareness about what to take action on. What happens is when you initiate, let's say here, from mental pressure or physical pressure, or not knowing what to use your energy for, or avoiding confrontation and truth, what happens is you get dumbed down, and then you are not on hallowed ground because you don't have the integrity of your sovereignty, of what you came here to be. Truly, it's simple, not easy, but it's so simple to be aware of what happens inside when you're out of integrity, irritation and anger. There, right there. Irritation and anger. And when you're out of integrity, then you see. Such an easy thing to see when you're out of integrity. You see. And seeing is everything. It is everything in experimenting with being your own authority. So to go back to what you're here to be aware of, truly, to observe the nature of what you came here to be, a reminder, the thing to start with inside of you, to attune to what's true. The thing to start with is the out of integrity awareness, because this is where you can have a satori as far as the nature of the awareness of who's watching. Who's watching? Observing your impact. So, the awareness of informing the nature of your truth, how you came here to be, the truth inside of thee. Let us start with looking at the thing that is not you accordingly to the nature of your chemistry, your frequency, your awareness. Again, first, you identify your correct color, whatever that color happens to be. So if you're a 1, the incorrectness, the blind neediness, whatever is irritating you, angering you, observe. Taking action from neediness, if it's working for you, I'd be surprised in truth. Let me know. When you find that you're tired of being thwarted, controlled, angry, however it is that it shows up for you, and you're ready to come back to what's true, be aware of how beyond compare you are. So, for first color, out of integrity, neediness. If it makes you angry, witness. Second color, out of integrity, guiltiness. When somebody's pulling the guilt trip on you, or you yourself guilt tripping, what to do? Come back to observing the impact. Irritating, angry making. When you are a third color and you're out of integrity, if you go, not my trip, not my circus, not my monkeys, blind innocence. If it makes you angry, irritated. Now, that's not to say you can't get resentful or embittered or frustrated or disappointed. It's just that the signpost of your channel definition inside of you gets angry because you're out of integrity. And this is the key to be aware of when you're playing the innocent. Now, when you're in need, what happens in awareness is that you're afraid of those things that are not correct for you to be afraid of if you're out of integrity, if you are transferred or distorted in your awareness. Now, all of these negative associations that I'm telling you about, informing you, these are things that are linked to your openness. So that means then awareness. This is the truth of experimenting with being your own authority. You're the only one that can be aware of you, the mind inside of you that's distorted, that lies, that is out of integrity. Remember, signposts to stop. When you're driving down the freeway and you're needing to take a right turn, we're getting off the freeway now, and we're having to cross a train track, and the arm's coming down and there's lights flashing. We don't bulldoze through the arm. We wait. We don't initiate. We know we don't match that speeding train in our little tin can car. However, experimenting, thankfully, most often does not lead you to getting slammed into by a freight train, although it may feel that way at times. Who knows what you're deciding? But those things that you may think that you are afraid of actually aren't for you to be fearful of. When you're a need motivation person, come back to what is necessary. And the 5, manifestors are not necessarily great managers or bosses. You're not built for groups. But oh, being in charge, if you own the company and you've got a 5th color, manager. Because you're a fixer. Because you're active as a principal, great. But out of integrity, ooh, sitting on your hands wishing that something would change when it's actually your responsibility to be the change of whatever it is that is designed to be initiated by life through you, because this is what, in accordance, you came here to do. In alignment with your line qualities, your life's work, truly. So watch for that dumbing down of thine frequency out of integrity, the dumb hope, so to speak, because you can be aware of the incorrect desire, blindly desperate, active, when in truth, this is no agenda, no motivation. As a color 6 being, again, keeping an eye out for the transference. Link it to the awareness in you. And what is that awareness? What can it bring? Well, according with the nature of what you came here to be aware of, this intrinsic value of what is the correct source inside of you. The awareness principle. Remember, this is part of the process in your integrity of awareness. As a reminder, quickly, in order to ensure you've got the frequency, here we have the body graph. And if you have the heart center open, as in white, not colored in, the awareness of your ego, the material world, your self-worth, worthiness, and willpower. In the shadow state, not self-theme, you feeling unworthy or undervalued will be linked to the transference in you. That means then fearful or dumb hope, dumbly hoping, not acting, desirous or desperate. Those are the upper colors transferred to the lower, not correct. So you may ask yourself, the actions you are taking coming from a place of feeling unworthy, that's an unwinnable game, my friend, because you are infinitely worthy, because you exist. Life's not done with you, otherwise you'd be off this plane. When it comes to the solar plexus as a place of openness, this is your emotional, social, relational intelligence, your nervous system, where we have the emotional wave of moods, feelings, desire, passion, and need, accordingly with the places within potentially romance, our sex drive for pleasure, and that includes food. Now, out of integrity, your not self theme is you are avoiding confrontation and truth rather than standing up to confront when the truth is necessary. And that is a challenge, you see. Now, not to go through all of these are places we have been through before, but those are the top two. The third and final I'll go into at this time is the undefined G, because what happens in anybody who has all three of these, they form a cabal, they gang up together. And if you're a manifestor, looking for identity, love, and direction outside of you, fixated on finding love that's true, but from a place of lack of integrity, as in the motivational frequency that is incorrect. Because see, when you're operating from openness, the place inside of you holding your mental process of awareness to your physical form cannot operate clearly nor correctly. And so what happens is, out of integrity, signposts to stop, you're going the wrong way. And that's the irritation. You try to put at bay, but you can't because you get angry. And then all of these three things inside of you, or whatever combination that's you, as far as the openness of the mental game where the mind plays tricks on you. Because openness is where there is a potential for vulnerability, a potential for out of integrity. Now, out of integrity means you're using mental awareness to make decisions rather than your emotional, spontaneous, or ego, power vested in thee to manifest truly. And this is the manifested frequency. Your leadership capacity requires that you are your own authority. And in being your own authority, then shining brightly, impacting, manifesting according to the nature of what you came here to be. So in the work success of being yourself here in career and business, my hope for you is that you source into what's true for you. Follow your strategy. Honor yourself as your own authority. And as a leader, potentially coming to rest in that place inside, wherever it happens to be, that you can align with the peace. Because the peace of someone who is correctly motivated to action shows up so much more clearly, brightly, peacefully, potentially materially successful. Now, according to Ra, founder and first messenger of the human design system, when it comes to making money, when it comes to having what you came here to have materially, the moment you're operating in integrity, you get exactly what you require on this plane to fulfill your path, promise, purpose, whatever it happens to be for thee. Until next time we meet, enjoy the movie. Find us at humandesignmastery.com. Namaste.